Hey yo guys, welcome to the episode number 3, which is the last episode of season 1 of Art Saga Dialogue. And today we are talking with architect Nilay Parekh, and we will talk about his international projects and how did he get there. So let's go and tune into the episode. But if you want to watch a video of it, it is available on YouTube. The link is in the description.
So, hello Nilay sir. Thank you for joining for this interview. And we have heard
Pleasure.
about your journey and about your projects here in India and also in international countries. And in today's interview, we would love to hear about how it all started. And this would be a learning for all of us young architects who are looking to go ahead in this field. So, starting with our segment 1 today, our first question to you is share your journey as an architect and how it all began.
Okay, I would say a particular project or a particular architect triggered that ambition or became a catalyst. But yes, very strong infatuation towards the ancient cultures, history, humanities, and traditions. It played a very big role in my formative years. Whenever I used to read Ramayana, Mahabharata, etc., I used to get attracted very much to the descriptions of the palaces and the places. The feeling was so strong that as a child, I used to dream about exploring the places like Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, Lothal that we used to study in school, industrial civilization, if you remember. Then Mesopotamia, Egypt, all those places. So for me, the unknown early human of Paleolithic Stone Age was more of an inspiration, as he was the one who started the architecture. It was him who thought of living in a shelter, to paint it, to make it beautiful, to decorate it, and more livable. So Bhimbetka, Ajanta Ellora, they attracted me more and inspired me more than any other contemporary architecture. So actually I wanted to be an archaeologist. You can make out from my likings, whatever I told you. I wanted to be an archaeologist. But destiny had something different for me. So after I entered the field of architecture, I realized that because I always thought that I want to create something or I want to be in that era. So now I get the chance to create something. So that was a point when I realized that this is a good field for me to enter. That's how I entered architecture. And I always used to think, okay, I want to create something which will be my legacy and it will be there even after my life. So that's the emotion which I always had and which has attracted me to this field. So far, the journey has been superb. All those sleepless nights, all those hard work, it has been dear to me because it has shaped my present. I have had my own struggles as an architect. I have worked with some small, good, or big firms, or I have learned different design philosophies, project execution, detailings, and the nitty-gritty of the field. And here I am.
So that's like great to hear, and always journey is always a key. So moving on, tell us about your first project and tell us about your approach towards it.
I was working with a very big firm in Mumbai after I passed out, after I was done with architecture college. I was working with this firm in Mumbai, and my wife, Nidhi, she is also an architect. She was in Pune. So, in the beginning of the career, it is always like, one has to work to run the house, and one can work for the growth, personal growth. So, here I was working so that our house can run, and my wife, she was here trying to get project. So, where we were staying in Pune, when I shifted to Pune, and I was staying in a small apartment. and there was a builder's office, a small office on the ground floor. So my wife used to pursue her, give us some work, give us some work. That time, गुंठेवारी was in trend. वो plot लेके गुंठेवारी करने के, उसके बाद बंगले बनते थे. All those things were in trend at time. So my wife used to pursue him, and I think she pursued him for almost around 6 months. He gave us some work, give us a small work, that will also do. And then one fine day, he said, okay, design a compound wall and a gate for me. Okay. So that was the first project I got. So I would not say it was a big project and we did this or nothing. It was a very small project. But when I got that project, I was working as a project architect for this firm, and I left my job and I came to Pune. And I said, we have to move it. This is the chance, either we make it or we leave it. So, we put our heart in. And I used to be on site all the time. I used to be there to make sure that nothing was wrong. It has to be good. We worked on the design as well as we worked on the execution. And that compound wall, it came out very good. So after that, all those who has bought plots in that particular society, they came to us for the designing of their bungalows. So that's how it all began. So it was a very small work, but I would say the hard work has given us the result, the immediate result. So that's how we got the first project.
Yes, sir. First projects are always special. And I also remember how happy I was when I got my first projects. And I think site visits to that projects were very exciting at first. We are very excited to go there to see how our drawings are executed on site. So it's very, very special for us.
Actually,
So
it is. And that time you always learn from the masons, from the carpenter. वो बोलते कि अरे नहीं सर इतना तो लगेगा. College में when we have learned this अरे ऐसे होता है तो what is true? Then there are some experiments. Then you start catching the track.
yes, yes.
That's how it goes.
Learning from the people who worked on the field, like masons and like carpenters you talk about, is a very good thing at the start of your project. So you get to learn many good things from them.
Perfect.
So we will start with the next segment, which says "Know you better." So the first question is, how do you turn your failures into success?
I believe there are no failures or success. I believe about time to learn and unlearn and time to implement and grow. I always put it like this. There is a time period or there are time pockets when you learn something, you unlearn something, and then there are again the time when you implement and you grow further. So the graph is always it never goes like this. It's like this. You got it? So I always believe that there are going at any point of your time, at any age, at any experience, you have this kind of time where you learn and you have to learn. Otherwise, the growth will stop. If you don't learn, the growth will stop. So, like I put it, there are times when, and at such times, what happens is, you get a time to introspect yourselves. You make sure that you have implemented those new learnings in the journey ahead. So I would say I've always gained something good when the time is tough. So that's how I take
Yes.
what you do.
Yes, sir. Yes. As you said, we always need to keep growing, keep learning, and obviously, architecture is a fast-growing field now. Every day, something new comes up, and learning with it will always keep us growing. So yes. So the other question to you is like, what was your approach when you got your first international project? So this is like a question many people would like to hear about. Your answer.
I got my first international project around 10 years back. And that time the excitement was next level. Because everybody is working here, everybody is working in India. In India, almost, I have worked probably around 10-15 states in India. So I can say pan India we have been working. But international is a different feeling. So that time we worked on the design so much that even before the execution, we were confident that it has to be very good. The outcome will be good. That we were sure of. In my first site visit to Kinshasa, where I did my first mission project, I made sure that I stay in a downtown hotel where I can observe the day-to-day life of the people. You know, my client was ready to give me a very nice hotel outside the town. I said, no, I want to stay in the town. I want to see the people, what time they get up, what are their daily activities. Because every culture is different from each other. We Indians are different, they are Africans, they are different. So I stayed there, I observed them doing different things. The timings were different. So the only reason was that I can do justice to my work. If I know the people, if I know the end user there, then I can give them something which suits them. Any of architect's creation is not just a creation. It's not just for portfolio photograph. It's about somebody else's life. They are going to stay there. They have to value it. They have to like it, and we have to be sure that we are upgrading their lifestyle and not disturbing it. So that's my approach always. Now, to make it more user friendly, what has happened is, there are small things. When I stayed there, I collected the data, what are the local seismic zone, the water table, groundwater table, what is how many months the monsoon is there. It's a tropical country. And the water table is very high because the Congo River flows just, I would say, a kilometer far from the site. So the foundation, the cladding, the type of waterproofing, the kind of opening, everything was different from what we do here. We had to make sure that it should sustain the heaviest of rainfall. Every time we talk about Mumbai, just yesterday it rained heavily in Mumbai, and again everything is clogged. So those who suffer are the people, the end users. Any kind of creation, the sufferer or the gainers are the end users. So you have to be sure that your creation has to be in line with the local climate, the local culture, their way of life. In this country also, up to the hardware, I would say, up to the hardware, there's a small story I'll tell you. We were done with the building, and the next time I went there for the next project. So I asked my client, what are the reviews? And he was like, the people are very happy, but they have a very small complaint. I said, what? You see, the windows you provided, it has got the star lock, sliding windows. We just slide it down and then we open it.
Yes.
He said, here, the ladies, they like to grow their nail very long. So they are complaining that their nails are breaking. When they open the window, the nail it broke. So you have to make sure that in the next project we give them the windows with handle and not with the lock. So this is something which again made me thinking, okay, this is a very small thing, but the client coming up with this thing, this as an input. तो इतना छोटा चीज में भी अगर if I can do something, that means there are a lot of things where we can work hard. So from the next project, we started making a total dossier. Before the project starts, our complete drawing, working drawing, detailing the code of the hardware, the quantity of hardware, everything is complete. We submit them and make sure that everything is studied by them beforehand and nothing goes wrong in the project. And we have been successful so far.
Yes. Understanding the key user, the end user is very necessary.
Very important.
I would like to ask, what are the challenges you faced? There were structures in different climate zones. So, as per material, what kind of challenges did you face there in the international countries?
Like I said, in this particular 3-4 projects, the second largest river, the Congo River, is just a kilometer away from my site. So as soon as we started excavation, the water comes out with just 30 centimeters, 40 centimeters. Your pits are always full. So there are different techniques of dewatering. So I had to be there. I had to learn that. The soil is very poor soil bearing capacity is there. That's soil. So again, everywhere it has to be either a big raft or different type of foundation. Many times what happens is in one building, we have created isolate footing, we have created raft also, we have created, so it's different kind of footing we have to decide. Somewhere there is a rock and somewhere again there is some water. So from there we start. Then being this country tropical zone, there is a lot of rain, heavy rain. Then we realize that the best way to use is glass, because glass itself doesn't require any waterproofing. The main quality of a window is to stop water, right? So rather than making big walls and then keep plastering it, we started using glass. There the monsoon is almost around 6 months. Okay, so the hardware has to be rust proof. It's like something like I would say, Lonavala, places like that where it rains very heavily. The drainage system has to be very powerful. The roof water has to get drained very fast. If it doesn't, it will get clogged. Because the rain is so heavy that in 1 hour, everything gets flooded. So all these things we had to take care. My structural engineer, he also visited the site and he saw the work there. The other projects in the vicinity. He studied there and then we started giving them the solutions. So all these things needed good time in understanding. Then again, when we did a project in Middle East, Dubai, there little different from us. They are the building, they are not very much keen about taking the natural light and ventilation because it's very hot. Okay, so we have a habit of providing good size of windows, doors, we want to see out. And whenever I design a toilet, I always give a duct and the ventilation and stuff like that. And there we say, we don't need this. You can just give a small duct, no opening, nothing, will ventilate mechanically. So, all the small inputs, and then you keep learning. They again have their way of inviting guests or keeping them in their apartment in a particular manner. So they have the guest bedroom just beside the entrance. They don't like to allow them inside their house. So first guest bedroom, then their hall and dining, etc. Then their own bedrooms. Now these things are coming in India also. But I'm talking about this around a decade back. So it was definitely something different from what we used to do.
Yes. I think hearing to your experience in international countries, this would be a key learning for everyone. Like if ever we get a project, we would find these points very helpful for us. So there's a funny question coming up for you. We also heard about that you were a consultant at Autodesk, and we heard about your AutoCAD speed. So we would like to hear about it.
When I was in college, that time AutoCAD 1, 2 that was introduced. I tried to learn in college, but I could never learn. This is when I was in 4th year or 5th year. So after I passed out, I was in Ahmedabad and I joined PVK Rameshwar, if you have heard of. He's the HOD of urban design at that time when I was working with him. And the first day in the office, and he said, okay, I want you to make this drawings on AutoCAD. I was like, well, I don't know AutoCAD. And he said, no, you have to do it. You have to sit and do it. And I was like, what? I sat on AutoCAD and I started learning. When I went home again, call somebody, teach me AutoCAD, and this exercise it went on for around a month or so, and I learned AutoCAD very nicely. I would say I was very thorough at AutoCAD. So that time I used to make those key shortcuts and stuff like that. काफी सारा मैंने उसके अंदर किया. Then the next version came and then I wrote them about this thing has to be implemented, and in the next version I could see those changes and they're made with a thanks. We are thankful for your input and this is very useful. It's a beautiful software, but still when I design it on the paper. I never sit on AutoCAD. I design it on paper because your mind, it flows with the pencil. What you say, what your mind would say, your hands will do. Never the keyboard. So AutoCAD is for making the drawing or representation. Otherwise, design on paper is the best way to do it.
I myself have experienced that. First, I used to develop concepts on AutoCAD during my college stage. But when I realized that, like the point you said, the mind and hand will go together. When I realized that, and now I am like, for my projects, I do the same thing. I first sketch it, be it very bad or very good. But I sketch it first and then I implement it on AutoCAD or any other software.
That is a nice practice. Always good.
So moving on to a third segment, this is a message to young architects. So our first question is, what is your motivation and your inspiration?
Motivation and inspiration. Actually, I would say I don't have some particular motivation or inspiration. I find it in very small things. Wherever I worked in past, I always used to observe my bosses. All of them were different, good in different things. For example, one of my bosses was very good at managing the office. He was strict, was very disciplined, used to make staff. One of the office was running so efficiently. Projects design was a different thing. But here I'm talking about the office management. One of the bosses was very creative. So every time when I used to see him, I used to find, okay, he in this kind of plot or in this kind of situation, he is giving this kind of solution. He is coming with this kind of ideas about the material. That I learned. So now also when I'm working, when I am in a particular kind of a situation, that time I always remember a particular person whom I have observed that he gives this kind of solution in this kind of situation. So it's about learning different things from different persons. So I would not say a person has been this inspiration or motivation. Even today also, one of my neighbors, I always see him. He leaves his home at sharp 9:30. He's back at sharp 6:30. He takes lunch at 1 o'clock. This time he plays with his kid. So it's about balancing out. Definitely, he's also a busy person. He's also a professional. But then it's also an inspiration. Look at him. Okay, he is managing it in this way. Why can't we? So everybody gives you a different kind of teaching. You just have to pick it up and implement it. So this is my inspiration and motivation, I would say. And definitely there are people doing very good works in different fields, architecture, social, political. You observe them and you absorb them as much as you can. That's so you can make yourself better.
I think this will help us a lot to learn about the motivation and inspiration, but in a different way. So nowadays, young architects are in here and having their firms. So they just want to learn like how they can pitch to the client. Can you give any advice to them?
Okay, first of all, I would say start knowing your client. Whenever I meet a client, I know him beforehand. Nowadays, it's very easy on the social media. If you put his name, you can make out what kind of person, what are his hobbies, what are his likings. So when you know a person, to pitch yourself becomes very easy, because you know what he likes, and ultimately once you are into it, you can know how you can explain your design in a better way. Okay, there are a couple of more things. Though I would say know the client beforehand, but your hard work, your discipline matters a lot. Matters a lot. Uh, Before I sleep, I make sure that I have my timetable ready for the next day. When I'm meeting whom, when I'm working what, when I'm designing, when I'm sick, when I'm going to visits, everything is handwritten by me before I sleep. So this way, you are always confident that you are going to serve the other person what he wants at the right time in the right manner. And this is it. This is the thing which will give you the confidence to approach anybody, because you are prepared. You are done with your homework and you are done with knowing him also. So there is nothing else you want. Hard work, discipline, and knowledge. That's it. If I need to anybody now, I'll not hurry up. I'll say, okay, I'm meeting you tomorrow. Okay, I'll just speak to him on the phone. I'll try to know what kind of person he is. Then I do my homework for what I'm meeting him. I'm meeting him for a bungalow, it's on a cliff, or it's near the water body, or it's in the town. I study the vicinity, I study the context, and then I meet him. So in the first meeting itself, you are prepared to talk. So I think that's the key.
I think that's the great advice. And to understand a client's character, to understand his needs and his requirement, will be the key for us young architects to learn, and it will help us to pitch them better.